They will discover us. They will erase our names from every record. Then we will erase ourselves first.
Together.
Let them search for ghosts.
In the 30th year of Pharaoh Khufu's reign, when the Great Pyramid rose from the desert like a mountain born of human will, two men discovered a truth that would seal their fate within its stones. The architect, whose hands had drawn the sacred geometry of eternity, and the guardian, whose strength protected the workers from chaos and thieves, found in each other something the gods had not written in any scroll. A love that defied Ma'at, the cosmic order that held Egypt together. The architect was named Khenti. He had come from Heliopolis, trained in the temple schools where priests taught the language of stars and stone. His fingers could translate divine proportions into lines that workers understood. When he walked among the construction camps at dawn, covered in limestone dust, the laborers believed he carried the breath of Thoth himself. Yet behind his measured words and careful calculations lived a heart that beat in rhythms no geometry could contain. The guardian was called Sineb. Born in the military garrison of Memphis, he had risen through ranks not by noble blood, but by unwavering loyalty and a body forged in endless training. His presence commanded respect without words. When riots threatened the construction sites, when foreign spies attempted to steal the architectural secrets, when the desert raiders approached at night, Sineb stood as an unmovable force. The workers whispered that he was blessed by Montu, the god of war. But none knew that this same man, who could break stone with his hands, trembled when Khenti's fingers accidentally brushed against his own. Their first meeting occurred during a crisis. A miscalculation had caused part of the inner chamber to collapse, killing 3 workers and threatening months of delay. The overseer summoned Khenti to the site at midnight. Torches illuminated the disaster. Khenti descended into the rubble, his mind racing through solutions. When he noticed someone else already there, Sineb, moving stones with methodical strength, searching for survivors, though the overseer had declared them lost. "Why do you continue?" asked the architect, studying this man who defied orders. "Because their families deserve to bury them properly," replied the guardian, not pausing in his labor. Khenti knelt beside him. Together they worked through the night, 2 bodies moving in synchronized purpose until they recovered the last body. When dawn broke over the pyramid's rising silhouette, they stood covered in dust and blood, and something unspoken passed between them, recognition of kindred spirits in a world of hierarchy and stone. The months that followed brought them together repeatedly. Khenti needed someone who understood both strength and precision to test new engineering solutions. Sineb needed someone who could explain why certain designs mattered, why some stones must be placed exactly so. Their conversations began with geometry and labor, but slowly, like water seeping through limestone, something deeper emerged. They spoke of childhood dreams abandoned for duty. Khenti confessed he had once wanted to be a poet, not an architect. Sineb revealed he had been forced into military service after his father's death, leaving behind a simpler life tending date palms. These confessions, shared in the cool darkness of unfinished chambers, bound them closer than any official partnership. The danger began with glances held too long, with hands that touched when passing tools and did not immediately withdraw. With conversations that continued past necessity, 2 men standing in shadowed corridors finding reasons not to part. In Egypt's rigid social order, where every person had their place and purpose, where marriages were contracts of property and lineage, where Pharaoh himself was both God and man, but never simply human, there existed no language for what grew between them. Khenti felt it first, the way his heart accelerated when he heard Sineb's voice among the workers, the way his eyes searched for that familiar silhouette against the desert sun. He tried to bury these feelings in calculations, drowning desire in drafting endless plans for the pyramid's upper chambers. But mathematics could not solve the equation of longing. Sineb recognized it during a feast celebrating the pyramid's progress. Watching Khenti laugh at some official's joke, seeing him perform the role of dutiful architect, Sineb understood with crushing clarity that he wanted to protect this man from everything, including himself. The realization brought both joy and terror. He had faced death in battle without flinching, but this feeling unmanned him completely. The festival of Opet arrived, when all of Thebes celebrated fertility and renewal. The construction site emptied as workers traveled home to their families. Only essential personnel remained, including Kenti, who had no family to return to, and Seneb, who never left his post. They found themselves alone in the labyrinth of passages deep within the pyramid's growing interior. "Do you ever feel," Kenti began, his voice echoing off stone walls, "that we are building our own tomb?" Seneb turned from studying a corridor. The torch between them cast half his face in shadow. "Every great work is a tomb of sorts. We bury our years inside it." "I meant," Kenti hesitated, then spoke with sudden courage, "that some secrets are too heavy to carry to the surface. They must stay buried where they were born." The Guardian understood immediately. The architect was offering him a choice: to acknowledge what existed between them or to let it remain unspoken forever. Seneb crossed the space between them in 3 strides. He did not touch Kenti, but stood close enough that their breath mingled in the torchlit darkness. "I have carried heavier burdens," said the Guardian quietly, "but none I wish to keep more than this one." That night, deep within the pyramid's heart, where no sunlight had ever reached and no priests would bless, 2 men allowed themselves to feel what the world above forbade. Their kiss was desperate and tender, quick and eternal, the collision of 2 souls who had found each other across impossible distances of duty and expectation. They knew the risks. Egypt's laws were clear. Such love between men was not spoken of in polite society, though it existed in whispered rumors about certain priests, certain nobles. But for common men, for those without divine bloodlines or political protection, discovery meant death or exile. The Mayat demanded order, and anything that threatened that order must be eliminated. Yet knowing the danger changed nothing. They could no more stop what they felt than they could stop the sun's journey across the sky. Their meetings became secret rituals. They would work separately during the day, playing their assigned roles, the brilliant architect and the fierce guardian. But when night descended and the construction site quieted, they would find each other in predetermined locations deep within the pyramid's passages. These chambers became their private world. In darkness interrupted only by single torches, they could speak freely. Kenti would read poetry he had written, verses about love that he changed the pronouns in, so they seemed to be about women. Seneb would bring food stolen from official banquets, luxuries neither should possess. They would sit close, shoulders touching, and talk about impossible futures. "If we lived in different times," Kenti mused one night. "If the gods had made the world differently." "The gods made the world exactly as it is," Seneb interrupted gently. "And in this world, in this time, I found you." That seems like divine will to me. But the world they lived in was unforgiving. One of the younger laborers, ambitious and cruel, noticed the architect's frequent nighttime inspections. He followed one evening, silent as a jackal, and witnessed Kenti meeting Seneb in a deep corridor. Though he saw nothing explicit, his imagination filled the gaps. He reported his suspicions to the overseer, embellishing them with invented details. The overseer was a practical man who cared only about the pyramid's completion. He could not afford to lose either the architect or the guardian. Both were irreplaceable. But rumors, once started, could not be easily stopped. The other workers began to watch Kenti and Seneb with new eyes, interpreting every interaction through suspicion's lens. "We must be more careful," Seneb warned after hearing whispers in the barracks. "They are watching us." "Let them watch," Kenti replied with reckless defiance born of desperation. "We do nothing wrong during the day. Our work is exemplary. They have no proof of anything. In Egypt, proof is not always necessary. Suspicion can be enough." The architect knew this was true. He had seen men accused of lesser crimes exiled to the quarries, their names erased from official records as if they had never existed. But the thought of giving up their meetings, of returning to a life of pure duty without these stolen moments of authenticity, seemed worse than any punishment. They continued meeting, though less frequently and with greater precautions. Each encounter carried the weight of potential finality. Their conversations grew more intense, their silences more profound. They began to speak of love explicitly, using words they had avoided before, as if naming the feeling could protect it somehow. "I would die for you," Seneb said one night. The declaration simple and absolute. "I would rather you lived," Kenti answered. "Living requires more courage than dying." The crisis came during the installation of the pharaoh's sarcophagus chamber. This sacred space, located in the pyramid's exact heart, required perfect execution. Khenti had designed a revolutionary weight distribution system using granite blocks and empty shafts. But during the final placement, one of the massive stones began to slip, threatening to crush a dozen workers and destroy months of precision work. Seneb reacted instantly. He threw himself beneath the stone, his shoulders taking its weight while screaming for the workers to secure the supports. For 7 agonizing seconds, his strength alone held back catastrophe. Khenti directed the emergency response, his voice steady though his heart threatened to tear from his chest. When the stone was finally secured, Seneb collapsed, his back lacerated, his shoulder dislocated. The architect abandoned all pretense. He lifted the guardian's head onto his lap, uncaring who witnessed this tenderness. "Stay with me," he commanded, tears falling onto Seneb's dust-covered face. "You cannot leave." "I forbid it," the guardian smiled through pain. "Still giving orders, architect?" The overseer saw everything. So did the laborers. But in that moment of crisis, when one man's strength had saved many lives and another man's love had been laid bare for all to see, judgment seemed to pause. Perhaps they recognized something universal in that devotion. Perhaps they were simply too relieved at being alive to care. Seneb recovered slowly. The priests treated his wounds with honey and incantations. Khenti stayed beside him during the healing period, claiming he needed to interview the guardian about structural weaknesses that the accident had revealed. No one questioned this transparent excuse. As Seneb regained strength, they discussed their future with new urgency. The accident had shown them how fragile life was, how quickly everything could end. They began planning something audacious, something that would either save them or destroy them completely. The solution Khenti and Seneb devised was audacious. They would hide themselves within the pyramid they had built. Deep within its structure lay sealed chambers designed to confuse grave robbers. One such room, known only to the architect, would become their sanctuary. Khenti modified the construction plans in secret. Seneb diverted supplies, oil lamps, preserved food, water vessels. They worked methodically, knowing they had only until the pyramid's completion. The night they chose was sacred, the festival of the dead. While workers celebrated above ground, Khenti and Seneb descended into the pyramid's depths for the final time. They carried only what mattered: tools to seal the entrance from inside, writings they had created together, a few personal items. The hidden chamber was small but carefully prepared. They had painted its walls themselves with forbidden images. 2 men standing as equals, hieroglyphs that told their truth without pretense. The artwork was crude compared to royal tombs, but it was theirs, authentic in ways official art could never be. "This is madness," said the guardian as they arranged their supplies. "Madness or wisdom?" replied the architect. "We chose to live truthfully rather than die slowly in pretense." They sealed the entrance stone by stone until no gap remained. When the final block slid into place, they stood in absolute darkness until Khenti lit their first lamp. The flame illuminated their faces, no longer bound by titles and duties, but simply 2 men who had chosen love over survival. They spent their remaining time honoring their love. Each morning they woke wrapped in each other's arms. Seneb traced patterns on Khenti's back while the architect recited poetry, finally using the correct pronouns. They shared meals slowly, their fingers lingering with each touch. When the final lamp began to flicker, they lay together on the linen they had covered the stone floor with. Seneb held Khenti against his chest. The architect's ear pressed over the guardian's heart, listening to its steady rhythm. Their fingers were interlaced, their breathing synchronized. "I do not regret," whispered the architect. "Nor I," answered the guardian. The flame died. Darkness returned. Centuries later, when archaeologists discovered the chamber in 1947, they found 2 male skeletons lying in eternal embrace, arms still wrapped around each other. The walls bore paintings of 2 men holding hands, hieroglyphs that scholars struggled to translate. The discovery was documented clinically, then quietly archived. The official report classified it as a servant's burial site, but truth endures. The chamber exists, the bodies remain, and somewhere in that darkness between hieroglyphs and history, the love of 2 men continues, preserved not in official chronicles, But in the eternal silence of those who chose to be buried with their truth rather than live with lies, the pyramid stands unchanged, keeping its secrets. And perhaps, in the end, that is what love demands. Not approval or acceptance, but simply the courage to exist, whatever the cost.